The large Homarus lobsters are caught almost exclusively with lobster pots, also called lobster traps. These are large rigid objects which the lobster enters voluntarily, often to reach bait, and which it then cannot escape. Traps are also used in some spiny lobster fisheries, such as the fishery for the California spiny lobster, Panulirus interruptus, in the eastern Pacific Ocean. Lobster traps can either be wire or wooden. Today fishermen are straying from the wooden traps as they can be heavier than the wire. Traditionally, a lobster trap has two compartments. The outside, or kitchen, has nylon netting leading inside the trap to the parlor, where the lobsters are caught. Lobsters are widely fished around the world for their meat. They are often hard to catch in large numbers, but their large size can make them a profitable catch. Although the majority of the targeted species are tropical, the majority of the global catch is in temperate waters. Lobsters are harvested year-round. However, the majority are caught between late June and late December, when the lobsters are the most active. Lobsters are also harvested during the winter and early spring months, but in smaller quantities. Legal restrictions apply to the catching of lobsters in many parts of the world, in order to prevent overfishing and allow recruitment to the next generation. Common restrictions include the provision of a minimum landing size, preventing fishermen from catching buried females, females carrying eggs, closed seasons, and limiting catches with individual fishing quotas. To measure a rock lobster, spread the antennal horns, place the gauge tip hard into the middle notch. Measure from the notch to the end of the carapace. If you are taking rock lobster close to minimum size, be sure your measuring device is accurate. The lobster is measured from the back of the eye socket to the end of its carapace. This should measure no less than 87 millimeters. It is illegal to take female rock lobster in berry or strip the eggs. If you catch a lobster in berry, return it to the water as soon as possible. Sexing rock lobster. Female rock lobster have large, overlapping pleopods, swimmerets flaps, under the tail, and have a small nipper claw is present on the end of each rear leg. Male rock lobster have small swimmerets under the tail and have no nipper claws on the rear legs. Lobster dealers cope with seasonal changes in supply with lobster pounds, or other live holding systems in which hard-shell lobsters can be maintained in peak condition for up to 6 months. The transportation of live lobster can cause stress and physical damage to the animals, as well as considerable variation in product quality at its destination. Factors likely to cause stress include changes in temperature due to inadequate cooling in warm climates, insufficient warmth in cold climates, low humidity, low oxygen, overcrowding, and rough handling. In addition, because lobsters are solitary animals and naturally defend their habitat, they can experience stress when placed in communal settings. The most common method of shipment for live lobsters is in fiberboard boxes lined with expanded polystyrene. An absorbent pad should be placed in the bottom of the box, and the lobster can be cushioned and separated from its neighbors with moist paper, chilled wet sponges or gel packs. A number of shippers still use seaweed, but some algal species produce noxious gases as they break down, which can harm the lobsters. Lobsters can be kept alive, out of water, in a high humidity environment for approximately 24 hours. Once the transport time increases beyond 24 hours, mortality increases significantly, and beyond 48 hours, losses can be considerable. It is therefore imperative that a good relationship is built with the transport company to ensure minimal delays only between the packing and the arrival of the lobster at its destination. It is important to ensure that all relevant paperwork including export and health certificates are correctly filled in, since products shipped interstate and inter-country are highly likely to be held over by veterinary inspectors if paperwork is incomplete. Lobster is an important trade item and one of the most expensive fishery products entering international trade. The average unit value is $20 per kilogram, compared to around $10 per kilogram for shrimp and below $5 per kilogram of finfish. World trade in lobster grew substantially, from 110,000 tons in 2001 to over 170,000 tons in 2014. Total lobster trade in 2014 was valued at $3.3 billion, almost double that of 13 years earlier. According to Global Trade Information System (GTIS), world quantity of lobster imports in 2014. The United States of America was the most important importer of lobster, 61,000 tons equals $1,294.2 million, followed by Canada, 32,500 tons equals $334.5 million, and China, 17,800 tons equals $576.7 million. France 8,696 tons equals $181.1 million. Hong Kong 8,020 tons equals $138.7 million. Spain 6,193 tons equals $104.5 million. Italy 5,279 tons equals $85.2 million. Japan 4,389 tons equals $94.2 million. Belgium 4,106 tons equals $85.2 million. When observing the development of the unit value of lobster trade, it comes evident that prices slowed down in the United States of America and France after the market disruption during the economic crisis in 2008 to 2009. In contrast, China's imports of lobster showed a strong increase both in volume, from 1,700 tons in 2001 to 17,000 tons in 2014, and in unit value, which is currently at $33 per kilogram, compared to around $2 per kilogram in the early 2000s. This indicates that China is now an important market for high-value lobster for domestic consumption, and no longer for the reprocessing industry only.